This might be a controversial episode with a series of very hot takes, smoldering hot takes. I don't give a shit. Welcome back to another episode of the Straight Shooter Recruiter podcast. My name's Emily Durham. I'm a careers coach, a careers content creator, and ultimately, I'm just a girl who wants to see you thrive in your 9 to 5 and beyond. So if you're into that, please consider subscribing, leave a rating and a review for the show. I would love that. And that's how the show grows, and you never know whose life is going to change because you engaged with this episode, and that's how it landed on their For You page, their subscriber page, yada yada. So it takes 30 seconds. I'll let you get to it. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I talked about this in the last episode, but usually people who are overthinkers often have issues with control because you are trying to control the situation at hand. You're trying to control the outcome. You're trying to control other people's perception of you. You're so obsessed with knowing that everything is going to be okay and that your job is secure and that people like you that you overthink as a means to maintain control of that situation, especially in cases where things are in fact out of your hands. I need us to take it a step further. Have you ever considered that you're not the problem? At work, at life, whatever. I'm going to focus on work because that's my area of expertise. But have you ever considered that you're not the problem? Maybe, just maybe, other people are the problem. You guys resonated a lot with something I said in an episode a few weeks ago where I said, it's incredible how much you thank other people and credit other people when you do well. Oh, I won that award because it was a team effort. Oh, I lost that weight because I had a trainer and I did this and I did that. But when you fail, somehow it's all your fault. Only you are the contributor to your failure, but yet somehow your success is in the hands of everybody else. That doesn't quite add up. Have you considered that maybe the reason it feels like your boss is constantly giving you negative feedback and picking you apart isn't because you're bad at your job? It's because they're a bad boss? It's because they're not giving you feedback as a gift to help you grow? They're picking you apart because they are insecure, because they are not a good leader. Have you considered the reason you often have conflict with that one coworker isn't because you're bad at your job? Maybe it's because that coworker is bad at their job. Have you considered that the reason people at work don't want to hang out with you and don't want to socialize with you isn't because you're inherently unlikable and awkward? Maybe it's because they can pick up a vibe from you that you're not catty, you're not the office mean girl, so they don't want to engage. Maybe they pick up on the fact that you are not deeply insecure, so you're going to be hard to take advantage of. So they reject you before you can reject them. Have you considered that the reason you keep getting promoted isn't because you were in the right place at the right time? It's because you're better than the people around you. And I know that's uncomfortable to hear. Have you considered the reason you keep getting a raise isn't because they just give people raises every year? No, it's because you did your job well. Have you considered the reason people keep asking you out on dates when you go out isn't because you're out and you were in that cute shirt? It's because you're cute. Have you considered that when you externalize the positive and internalize the negative, it's a form of self-sabotage? Have you considered that? Let's ask the class. Let's ask the audience. I believe you'd be screaming yes, because guess what? I have clients who scream yes, and I screamed yes. This is something I have experienced. And as someone who's worked in human resources and works with career coaching clients all the time, there are some things that are universal truths that you need to hear so that you can stop feeling like your emotions and your feelings are at the hands and in the power of other people. Firstly, the people who constantly think they're going to get fired. Like, for example, when you get a message from your boss that's like, hey, can we talk? And your brain automatically tells you, oh my God, I'm getting fired. I used to do that. My boss would message me like, hey, do you have 10 minutes over Slack? And I'd be like, oh my God, this is it. I'm getting fired. That's it. That's it. That's all, folks. Yeah. Can I just tell you a little secret? The people who constantly think they're going to get fired aren't the people who are actually getting fired. And the people who probably are getting fired are not thinking that way. They're oblivious. The people who are truly going to get fired are in La La Land. Oh, all is well in their world. Work is great. They're not getting any more projects. It's just because it's slow. They're not overthinking it. The people who should be overthinking are underthinking. The people who are constantly convinced that they're going to get promotions and that they're better than everyone around them are not usually the people who are legitimately the best in the room. In fact, I would argue the people who think they're the smartest in the room are almost never the smartest in the room because a smart person knows there's always more to learn. Okay? So the fact that you're overthinking and the fact that you have self-doubt is actually an indicator that you are on the right path because that's not insecurity, that's self-awareness. And one of the biggest gaps in the job market right now, one of the biggest skills gaps we're seeing with candidates is a lot of people lack self-awareness. A lot of people, more people than you think, are unbelievably mediocre at their jobs, but they walk through life like this shit doesn't stink. They walk through life like, oh yeah, no, I got sauce. Yeah. I'm going to get promoted. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. I'm so good at my job. No news is good news. Boom, they're fired for performance-related issues because they're not paying attention. Trust me when I say, if you are someone who is constantly overthinking and constantly internalizing the negative and externalizing the positive, you are someone who's going to be well aware of any negative things coming your way. The next time you get into a situation where you start to think you are the problem, I need you to physically write down exactly the facts of what's happening. I'm working on this project. This happened. This person said that. This person said this. And then step away from it, come back, look at it. Looking at the facts and removing your biased feelings, your automatic assumption that you are the problem. What do the facts say? Okay, Susan communicated with me in a frustrated way. Susan had to follow up a bunch of times. Susan said this, Susan said that. Me thinks Susan's the fucking problem. Susan's not a clear communicator. Susan's got aggression issues. So who gives a shit if Susan doesn't like me? I don't like Susan. And I don't lose sleep over people who I wouldn't want to swap lives with. So start to externalize your feeling from the situation and look at it objectively and say, okay, who is objectively wrong here? Because the default setting can't always be you. You need to start considering the source. That's the second tip. When you get feedback, when you get advice, consider the source. Is this someone you respect? Is this someone whose flaws you know and still respect them? If not, take it with a grain of salt. That's a-okay. I need you to stop assuming that every single time you make a mistake or every time your boss reaches out, you're getting fired, you're getting terminated. Everything is not the end of the world. You're catastrophizing because you're so scared to breathe out and be still in a moment. You're so scared that if you're not controlling the outcome, you're scared you're going to get hit with the layoff, hit with the termination, hit with the performance plan. And I totally get that. Especially in this job market, dude, I get it. But what I need you to do is start regulating your nervous system so that every time you hit a speed bump or even just a message request, you don't panic. You need to start having confidence in your work and your deliverables. Part of that is you tracking your accomplishments. And I did that list. I talk about it all the time. If you want more information, I'll do a full episode dedicated to that. But secondly, I need you to remember what I've talked about in the beginning of this episode. The people who are constantly convinced they're going to get fired are not the people who are going to be getting fired. The people who are constantly convinced they said too much, did too much, are not the people who actually said too much because you're self-aware. You are exhibiting signals of self-awareness. And the fact that you are nervous about how you show up is already an indicator that you are ahead of other people. That's just an objective fact. That's something I can tell you as someone who works in this space. So maybe this is like a little bit tough love, and I'm sorry if you hear sirens in the background. I live in downtown Toronto. It is what it is. There's always something happening in the background. But yeah, I'm sorry if this is tough love. I'm sorry if this feels like I'm yelling at you, but honestly, dude, I am. Like, I'm so sorry. You need someone to shake you out of the habits you built around overthinking and out of the mindset you have that you need to externalize the good and internalize the bad. You don't. You don't need to do those things. You need to start being more critical of others. And I know that sounds mean, but you do. Your boss is not a perfect person. So when they're shitting on, the slide deck you've put together, picking apart every single thing you've done, you have to give yourself permission to be like, this person isn't very good at this, or this person is focused on the wrong things. You're allowed to think critically of others. I would actually argue your challenge, at least for this week, try being more critical of others in an effort to be less critical towards yourself. Because you shitting on yourself is one more way you are trying to control the outcome. It is a control issue, and your career is going to take a hit. And I'm so tired of hearing incredible people constantly feeling like they're not good enough, like they're going to get fired, all of these things. And I watch idiots walk through life. Start operating with the mindset of an idiot. The shitty people at work just coast and they deal with things as it comes. They've let go. Try to adopt that mindset, at least for the next week. Let me know how it goes. This was such a fucking ramble. I feel like I actually just FaceTimed you and yelled at you. But I hope you liked it. Sometimes it's just important to hear these things. It's important to hear someone be honest and be real with you and talk a little bit of mindset. If you're new to the show, by the way, I post twice a week on Sundays and on Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, I answer questions. It's What Would Emily Do Wednesdays. You can submit that with the link in the description of this and every single episode. I think I'm done yelling at you. I love you a lot, by the way. I'm only being a bitch because I care about you. And to be honest, I'm only being a bitch because I'm tired of people making you feel like you're shitty. So I need you to snap the fuck out of it. Okay? Love you. Bye. Mwah. Talk to you next week.